Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
It's been an exciting and kind of awful few weeks around here in our little corner of chaos. And while we are sad spooky month is over, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. To kick off our first What the Fuck Wednesday in November, let's get into the Thanksgiving holiday spirit. I, for one, cannot wait to eat my weight in food and get my grandmother's sweet potato recipe in my belly. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, speaking of chaos, that's all the next couple of months usually are around here with, the family time and the celebrations and such and things. We aren't going to let that slow us down, though, and you'll continue to get your weekly dose of weird true crime. But before we get started, let's hear our riddle of the day. A woman watched a man being murdered. She cries, but does nothing to save him. Why? Stay tuned to the end to find out the answer.
I actually feel like I might know the answer to this one.
This is an easy one.
Ooh, okay.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Gina.
Let's dive right into some of the best, or worst, depending on how you look at it, Thanksgiving stories we could find.
Well, if you haven't figured it out already, we love Reddit around here. Granted, we take everything with a grain of salt. It still provides some free entertainment we can pass along to you. Our first story comes from user Guy Awaska. They say, I was invited to cook dinner with friends, a straight couple, at the boyfriend's mom's house. It's a fun time full of laughter and the wine is flowing. We're making a great meal to enjoy. The mom was at work all day. About halfway through our cooking, we realized something is really wrong with the cat. He'd been sick, but things were getting bad in a hurry. Vet can't do anything, so he says to just keep the cat comfortable and wait. So the cat is literally dying, and the mom comes home, and we have to tell her the bad news. She does not handle it well, as you can imagine. She kinda screams when she hears the news and just falls to pieces completely. Hella awkward, and we all do our best to offer comfort. Eventually, we're all awkwardly sitting around the table eating dinner in a complete silence and meekly sipping wine, and the mood is grim. But the girlfriend is getting really drunk. She also doesn't really like the mom and keeps rolling her eyes when the mom isn't looking and texting me that the mom is being dramatic about this cat. I'm trying my best to keep my shit together because this is the weirdest, most uncomfortable situation ever. I'm trying to spark up some light conversation and it's just awful. I'm carrying this dinner single-handedly, which makes me start to drink more to deal with the cringe. So then I ask someone to please pass the potatoes. The mom lets out a loud sob and hollers in a weird warble, "Pickles!" which is the dead cat's name. And the girlfriend takes one look at me trying my damnedest to keep a straight face and just bursts out in hysterical laughter. The boyfriend is appalled. I immediately freeze, feeling that overwhelming pressure that is close to pure madness when you try to suppress hysterical laughter that you know you shouldn't let out. The mom abruptly pushes her chair back and leaves the table, and we hear her wailing, crying in the garage over her dead cat. I follow the mom and try to comfort her. Dead cat is covered in tears. Boyfriend is yelling at the mom to stop fucking crying on the cat. Girlfriend is just doubled over crying with laughter. She's completely gonzo at this point, wasted. She is laughing. She is laughing so hard she pees her pants, and this makes me lose my shit. Boyfriend and I stealthily drink more wine in the kitchen just to cope. The three of us spend the rest of the night sitting in front of the fire. We can't leave because we've all been drinking, listening to the sound of crying and avoiding eye contact. Every time the mom wails, "Pickles!" the girlfriend loses it all over again. This lasts until about 10 p.m. when I call someone to rescue my ass and get the hell out of there. And that is the story of the most awkward dinner of my life.
I gotta hand it to this guy
For keeping his shit
stuck
together.
around until 10 p.m. I would have noped out of there. I would have called an Uber. I would have begged, whoever to come get my ass out of there.
Like, this is not my problem.
It is sad. Like, losing a pet is tragic. They are part of the family.
Yes. I think it's the family dynamic that makes this story so funny. It's not the fact that the cat died. That's sad.
No.
But it's like,
It's the line of the boyfriend telling the mom, yelling at the mom to stop fucking crying on the cat. Like, if you don't have any sort of mental image of the goddamn circus that ensued at this poor frickin' dinner, and this drunk girlfriend laughing her ass off, boyfriend annoyed, mom, pickles! I can't.
And this friend who's just there to like eat some food and drink is like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into? Like, Pat,
I bet
I'm sorry.
I bet they're never going to ask someone to pass the potatoes ever again. I bet there's going to be a level of PTSD accompanying this for the rest of their life.
Oh. And personally, the funniest part to me is that the cat's name is Pickles, and I literally have a dog named Pickle asleep behind me.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. I'm sorry. Like, that's the one story that I read beforehand, and I knew how funny it was, and I hadn't looked at it in a while. And then I looked at it again and was like, oh shit, it's this story. I am not going to be able to get through this. And I did not.
I mean, eventually you did. We did get there eventually.
But my face hurts, and we've only finished the first one.
That's only the first one. We've got 9 more to go.
Oh, God. Okay.
Our next story comes from user Redhead Momster 666. All the grandkids came over, and they are toddlers. They ran around the house most of the night in a pack, screaming and causing chaos and disorder. And eventually they made their way to the mantel above the fireplace, where they discovered a box that they just couldn't resist picking up and opening. The oldest one grabbed handfuls of gray dust out of the box and started throwing it up in the air in the living room, yelling out, "It's snowing, Mommy!" while my aunt stared in shock and horror. Apparently, the kids found the ashes of our aunt's old cat and couldn't help but spread the love. Swear, this just happened a few hours ago, and I couldn't make this up.
Oh, no. Look, toddlers will get into anything. Anything. That's why you put up things that you don't necessarily want them messing with.
For a few years in toddlerhood, your house does not resemble anything that it used to because everything has to be at giant level to prevent the crazy toddler from getting. And even then, they can be daredevils and still find their way to get it.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you react in that situation? There's your cat ashes flying through the air. Like, see, I go, oh God, everyone's breathing the cat in now.
Yeah, or like
covering every surface.
In the cat, like the kids are covered in the cat.
I mean, it's ashes, so it's not necessarily like
no, it's not like dirty or but it's like you're covered in cat ash. Also, like if you've ever had the cremains of a pet or a person, it's not that easy to get to. you know, like some of those boxes are sealed or they're hard to open and you got a bag inside of it. So like those kids were working hard to get to what was inside of that box, potentially. I mean,
or they had gotten the cremains in a bag and transferred it into a regular box to put on the mantle if they wanted. So, you know.
That's true.
You never know.
That is not how I want to spend my Thanksgiving, is bathing my toddler that's covered in cat ash.
No.
No.
I thought that was a good one to follow up, pickles.
That's true. Was it pickles? Was it pickles? Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Number 3 on our list comes from user Colina. One glorious Thanksgiving, my mom and aunt decided to try edibles. Naturally, they made the rookie mistake of eating another after only 15 minutes because they're not doing anything. Fast forward 2 hours, and mom is in full panic mode about whether or not the local ducks she feeds daily will starve overnight because there's no way she's in any fit state to go out and feed them. And my aunt is waking my uncle up every half hour and asking him to tell her whether or not she's still breathing. That is definitely a rookie mistake with edibles. Maybe they should have started with like half of one, waited an hour. And then, oh man, they'll get you. Those things sneak up on you. That's not something to like.
Look, I have issues where I panic about nothing without the aid of any sort of edible. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna nod. I'm gonna call good on that one.
Am I still breathing? You're literally talking to me. So.
Reddit user DalGeek shares this unforgettable Thanksgiving experience. My mother and grandmother had plans to go to a restaurant last year. My sister convinces them to go somewhere else at the last minute. Of course, this means no reservations, but sister is convinced that it'll be fine and they just might have to wait a few minutes for a table. I live in another state, so I get to experience all of this from a distance. They end up sitting at the bar while waiting for a table, having a few drinks and appetizers. After the second round of martinis, my mother looks over and my grandmother is leaning back in her chair, completely limp and unresponsive. Everyone freaks out. Paramedics are called. Grandma is rushed to the ER. I'm 1,200 miles away when my mother calls to tell me what happened. At this point, Grandma is at the ER, still unresponsive, crazy low blood pressure and high heart rate. I'm ready to book a plane ticket and rush to the airport when Mom calls back. Don't worry, everything's okay. Your grandmother just got drunk. Her blood test came back completely normal, except with a BAC of 0.24, 3 times the legal limit. She was awake now, so I got to talk to her and she was crying. I'm so sorry, I've ruined Thanksgiving. I assured her that she hasn't ruined Thanksgiving and that everyone is just happy she's okay. So my grandma is 90 years old, about 4'8" and 100 pounds. She hadn't eaten anything all day because she knew they were having a big dinner. She also ordered another martini while no one was looking, so the second martini was actually her third. This turned into the perfect storm of really drunk grandma. The TLDR, grandma got run over by a martini.
Oh, no. Okay, this woman is smaller than our 10 and 11-year-olds. Like,
it's tiny.
Wow. So, and 0.24, I mean, neither one of us are big drinkers. And so, like, I don't know if having a blood alcohol level that high after 3 martinis is normal, or like, are those really strong martinis? I don't like martinis. I think they're gross. So I don't know if that's like a normal blood alcohol level after having 3 martinis, but Jesus.
I think the fact that she hadn't had any food in her system, she's also absolutely itty bitty.
And old. So old.
And, I wasn't going to, put too fine a point on that. But since you brought it up, yeah, she's ancient.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't respond as well to.
As you get older, you don't handle things as well as you did when you were younger. I mean, even now in our 30s, like, I'm not, we're not going to age us too much.
I sleep wrong and I'm fucking miserable for 2 days straight.
Right. Like, wow, that's a lot of murder. That poor woman, she probably felt so bad. This does remind me, though, of that story I told you when we were talking about making this episode about when I was younger and my grandparents were still around and they stayed with us for Thanksgiving. And my brother made this like pecan chocolate bourbon pie. And he put too much bourbon in it. And so I was a kid, right? And I'm eating this bourbon pie and I'm like, ooh, this is like warm in my stomach, And my grandma was sitting over there on the other side of the table just giggling. And like, she didn't drink, She was such a pure, just like, clean Christian little old lady. And here she is eating this bourbon pie. And she's like, ooh, this is good. Like all giggly. And I'm like, oh God, mama. We're like, God, how much alcohol did you put in this, Brian? Like, jeez. Oh God, that's so funny. She obviously didn't pass out to this extent, but it was still a very, very funny situation. Well, next on our list is from user Tazvezda. My cousins and I were on the stairwell with a direct view of the kitchen while all the grown-ups were in the other room. My aunt reached in to put a casserole dish into the oven. Suddenly, we saw a ball of flame burst out and my aunt shot backward. We were stunned. My aunt stood straight up and laughed and walked over to us like it was no big whoop. My cousin asked, Mom, what happened to your eyebrows? My aunt got closer. Everything on her was singed, including the lace around her apron, and her bangs were frizzled, sticking out all over. Ooh. Slowly, it dawned on the entire family that my aunt had turned the gas oven on before lighting the pilot. Basically, the entire house could have blown up. Much concern. My aunt refused to go to the hospital. While serving dinner later, she looked down and said, I thought I put pantyhose on today. They had evaporated. How is that possible?
God, the only thing that comes to mind with that, do you know how bad burnt hair smells?
Yes, it's disgusting. And it lingers.
Can you imagine? Your Thanksgiving dinner with the fragrant burnt hair.
I love that she's like, well, I basically almost caught on fire. I'm really singed. I'm just going to sit down and eat this lovely dinner anyway. And what happened to my hose? Her brain is probably just like, she's probably so dazed. She's like,
The part, my aunt stood straight up and laughed and walked over to us like it was no big whoop. You just got exploded from the fucking oven and just another day,
Oh, I do have another Thanksgiving tale. It's kind of related. So our mutual friend, Sarah, well, when we were much younger, we had a joint Thanksgiving one year, and we went over to their house. They had just moved in, hadn't been there very long, and they had a turkey in the oven. So the entire built-in oven falls out of the wall, door opens, turkey slides across the floor. Not kidding. Like, well, guess we're not eating that.
Was this at that really night, the house they moved? Holy cow.
Like their first Thanksgiving in that house. Like they didn't secure the oven in when they installed it, and the whole thing just fell out.
Oof.
Yeah. That was fun. That's a fun day. Thanksgiving is great.
Oof. Okay. This next one comes from Just Laney. My first Thanksgiving with the family of my soon-to-be husband. The house was completely full of guests, and the toilets had been working overtime. No one told me that. Gorgeous formal dinner with copious toasting and rich, dreamy food. My body was a running machine in those days, and I was consuming mostly healthy food leading up to this moment. Well, 30 minutes after lunch, I began to feel very uncomfortable. Very.
Ugh.
So I snuck off to one of the guest bedrooms upstairs, which, unfortunately for me, was located directly above the library where everyone had gathered to digest. After I began to feel some relief and started to feel human again, the toilet decided that I was the person, and this was the moment to stop admitting new contents altogether. As I flushed, there was a discernible pop, gurgle, and then a volcano of waste and water began to saturate the floor. No. After what seemed like an eternity, I managed to turn off the water at the source and was left standing in a 2-inch lake of shit. As I stood in stunned horror, there was a frantic knocking at the door. It was my mother-in-law warning me not to flush. Too late, I managed to whisper. She scurried off, and I was left sobbing in mortification. In a flash, she brought back a stack of old towels, bleach, and a bucket, and I got to work. Finally, after 30 minutes of hysterical cleaning, crying, and laughing, I managed to sanitize myself and the bathroom. However, to my horror, as I walked down the stairs and looked into the library, I saw a bucket brigade and a frantic swarm of people up on stepladders, holding towels up to a soaking, dripping roof. Yep, my shit was raining on my future family. I ran out of the house and refused to play in the croquet tournament the next day. The marriage didn't last. Okay, can I just comment of how eloquently she described this utter nightmare? Mm-hmm. We always have some sort of poop talk in our What the Fuck Wednesdays. Yeah. Like, it's just what happens. And this, I believe, even though it's horrific, was the most eloquently put.
It was just so, well written. And also, big props to her future mother-in-law for handling it with such grace and just being like, oh, okay, here you go.
I think we've established any sign of poop and I know about. I can handle injuries, blood, gore. I can handle that and keep my shit. If you shit, I'm gone.
I'm the opposite. Which is, unless it's puke and then I'm out. But, no. Yeah. Oh, God. I'm surprised she even went through with a marriage. I don't know if I could marry into a family after I literally, my shit had rained on them. Nope. Sorry.
I'd probably be moving zip codes.
That's a huge sign, right? I feel like that's a sign.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's a sign.
Maybe this is
probably not a good idea.
No. Oh, that poor woman. At least she didn't have to talk to those people anymore. Let's continue with a little more bathroom humor from user Sam the Cat 1021. I forget what year or how old I was, but it was a terrible experience. So, at the kids' table, we were all sitting around and everybody was silent when all of a sudden my cousin dropped a fork. Everyone, including people at the adult table, looked over at him. I happened to be sitting next to him, so all the eyes were in my direction when all of a sudden I let out the loudest fart I've ever heard. Everyone thought it was him. Once everyone's laughing died down, something from the adult table let out another giant fart. More laughter. My aunt stood up to go refill her plate a couple seconds later, and she all of a sudden tripped and boom! Into the floor. Then she farted. It was quite the experience. You know what? At least they're comfortable doing that stuff around each other, I guess.
Oh,
or they're that kind of family.
My father, speaking of farting at the dinner table, it's it's considered rude. You don't do that somewhere else. But hey, it's, as Shrek said, better out than in. My dad, it wasn't any kind of special dinner. It was just a regular dinner. We were just sitting at the dinner table, eating one night, and this man gets up and he walks into the kitchen, turns around, faces the dining room, takes off, does a running, flying ballerina leap in the air, in the middle of the dining room. At the height of his jump, he lets out a fart, lands, walks back over to the table, and sits down like nothing fucking happened. That was my childhood growing up.
Did he do this regularly, or was that like a special, like a
the flying ballerina leap? That was a new one, but weird farty things, like we expected it from him. Like, but the ballerina leap is one that has always stuck out in my brain because
it was so bizarre. Oh, that's really funny. See, my family was such the opposite. Like, I don't know if it's because growing up in like a Baptist, really, serious households and everything else, but like you just didn't do that kind of stuff around each other. Or if you did, it was like, like full of embarrassment. There was just a lot of like bodily things need to be kept to yourself. You do not talk about it. You do not discuss it. You do not do it in front of other people. So stories like this, I'm like, really? Like, that's so weird to me. But we were not normal, so.
No, neither were we. So just don't for 1 second think that constitutes any sort of normality. No. It was my normal, but that's not normal. No. My dad is a character and freaking hilarious.
I love that though. But the funny thing is I'm married to the complete opposite. So I've very much had to learn to lighten up quite a bit in the last decade plus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of roll with the punches much easier now. Not that I'm doing it, but I'm not like offended by other people now. So at least, we're making progress. Oh man. Okay. This next one is short and sweet. There's a lot all packed into this one from user MiniX97. My 4-year-old sister was sitting at the dinner table next to Grandma. After taking a bite of something, she said, "My tongue hurts." To which, I haven't even read this yet and I'm already laughing because I'm like, oh God, where's this going? She said, "My tongue hurts." To which Grandma replied, "Well, come here and let me kiss it to make it feel better." The moment their lips touched, that's gross. I'm sorry. The moment their lips touched, my sister vomited directly into Grandma's mouth. My dad bursts into laughter, and Grandma passes off my sister while she gets up to go clean up in the bathroom. Not more than 5 seconds after she left, a 2-square-foot chunk of the ceiling caved in and fell directly onto her chair. Wow.
I mean, there are so many other ways like divine intervention could have played out here, but hey, you know what? Vomit in the mouth or crushed by the ceiling.
Crushed by a ceiling. That's what I was thinking. I was like, what sort of weird possession bullshit was happening here to save Grandma?
But poor Grandma. Grandma was just trying to give, kiss to make it feel better.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did not foresee the vomit for one, but God, the ceiling? Oh, that's horrible.
Short and sweet, but there's a whole lot to digest in that one.
Definitely a lot packed into that one. I'm really glad Grandma only got a mouthful of vomit and not ceiling on her head.
I don't know. I think I would have taken my chances with the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't do vomit. Yeah. I would have taken the concussion or whatever over.
Yeah. The minor head laceration. So it's fine. Emergency room. It's been a while since I've been there. I'm due. Let's go. God,
what kind
my
of
kids.
sorcery?
threw up in my mouth, I'd probably end up in the emergency room one way or another anyway, because like spazzing, freaking out, I'd probably slip and bust my head open. So yeah, I'll just take my chances with the ceiling.
Yeah. I agree with you there. No, thank you.
Our next Reddit gem comes from user SKR000. My dad had an allergic reaction to shrimp cocktail before dinner, and his face blew up. He refused to come out of the kitchen or sit at the table with us. He was just eating his food in the kitchen and trying to act like things were normal, like yelling out, "Hey, good mashed potatoes this year, huh?" Meanwhile, my mom is anger crying at the table, telling us to just eat our fucking food that she worked all day on.
Oh no.
All of us kids are just very scared and very confused. My sister starts crying because things are so weird and no one wants to eat because there is so much tension. Eventually, my mom convinces my dad that she needs to take him to the ER. My high school senior-aged brother took the bottle of wine and shared it with 7th grade me and got me drunk for the first time. My parents came home to me throwing up on the bathroom floor.
So my first question is, did this man know he was allergic to shrimp before he ate it?
That's a good question.
You know, had he never had shrimp before?
Maybe. I mean, very weird side note, but, as I was working this morning, I, for some reason, got on YouTube, I was watching Night Watch. I don't know why. It just kind of popped up. You know what it is? It's the paramedics in New Orleans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there was a little kid that ate a piece of shrimp and she started having an allergic reaction. So that was one of the calls they were at. And the paramedics were talking. They were like, sometimes people can eat it. The first time they eat it, it'll be fine. They may have like a minor reaction, but not even really noticeable. And then the second time they have a full blown allergic reaction to it. So maybe that's what happened. He had eaten it in the past and hadn't had any problem. And then just this time, yeah.
I love that the mom is just pissed. She's like, way to fucking ruin dinner, Bob. Like,
I 100% would be pissed off too. You're stubborn ass. You look like a freaking Oompa Loompa, and you're not going to let me take you to the emergency room.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just not going to sit with you. I'm just going to stand here and talk to you from a distance so I don't scare the kids.
And the poor freaking kids. Dad looks like the Michelin Man, and mom is pissed off. Like
yelling at everyone.
Yeah, that is.
No. Sounds legit. That sounds legit.
That checks out.
Yeah. Would you even be mad? Like, if that situation happened and you came home and your 7th grader was puking because your senior gave them booze, like, would you even be mad or be like, yep, this seems right?
This seems an appropriate way to end the day.
Like, I can't even blame you for this. Yeah, it was that was a shitty day. I'm sorry. Like, let's try again. We'll try again next time. Maybe no more shrimp cocktail, which I like shrimp, and shrimp cocktail is gross to me. So that's a weird precursor to Thanksgiving dinner, in my Southern opinion.
No seafood, please. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Last but not least comes this story from Bazareth. My grandmother ran out of counter space. Shit was sort of burning like crazy on top of the stove. She took out the turkey on the tray, looked around, and put it on the ground for like 3 seconds. She intended for it to be there for 3 fucking seconds. Her dog, Roscoe, had been following her all day. Earlier, she tossed him a turkey giblet, and I guess that didn't sit well with him. He shit all over my grandma's leg, floor, and freshly cooked turkey in one explosive 2-second blast of fiery diarrhea.
I was expecting this to end with he stole the turkey.
He ate it, stole it, something. Not that he
shit on it.
Diarrhea'd the hell out of it. Oh, and just like cherry on the shit sundae. Got her leg as well.
Great aim, Roscoe. Oh, God.
I mean, he knew where to stay. He's following her around. He knew where the food was coming from, so.
Oh, that is
Oof.
so gross. Like, that's worse than the dog eating the turkey.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Because then you have to clean up the shit mess.
And you're out food.
Yeah.
There's
and turkeys
just
are
throw it all away.
expensive.
Yeah. That's another reason why I don't like turkey. Give me a chicken.
Yeah. Throw it all away. Throw everything away.
Everything. Just start over.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's bad news, bears. Don't put food on the floor when you have a dog around. Like, that reminds me of that rescue. She didn't shit everywhere, but this rescue dog we had for a little while, and we have the pull-out trash can, that pulls out from the cabinet. And I walked into the kitchen one day, and she had opened the cabinet door somehow, climbed on top of it, and was literally laying on top of like the recycle bin in the trash can, eating shit out of the trash can.
Oh, God.
It's like
she had a feast.
I was like, how? How did you do this? Wow. I was like, I'm not even mad. This is hilarious. But, oh man, poor grandma. Poor Roscoe. That's why you don't feed dogs people food.
No.
Plus
they get fat.
They do, and like have a ton of other stuff going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I had to share this one as an honorable mention from another Reddit user. Quote, Grandma threatened to shit in the turkey if we didn't let her watch Jeopardy. End quote.
Grandma really likes Jeopardy.
Grandmother is my spirit animal. Like, I, you know what? I'm going to use that threat one time this year. I'm telling you.
What families are these? I want to meet these. God, all of these stories make my family seem so boring and mundane. Like, who are these people that act this way and say these things? Amber raises her hand. Oh. Has anybody ever threatened to shit on something, though?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, they're usually just like empty threats, but...
Well, of course. Of course.
It's the shock factor that makes them like...
Yeah. There's a certain generation...
I'm telling you, it's effective.
It's very effective. And there is definitely a certain generation of people who love their Jeopardy. So...
Oh, for sure.
My mom loves to never misses Jeopardy. So... Yeah. Oh, God, that's hilarious. That would be like me when I was younger, it was like I had to watch the parade. If I didn't get to watch the parade, I was so upset. And now I'm so busy, I don't get to watch it. And my kids don't care. This is what YouTube has done to our children. They don't care about the Thanksgiving Day parades anymore. Or the dog shows.
Nope. It's
just sad.
Yep.
It's sad. Oh, man. These were great, and my face hurts so bad. I do like Thanksgiving. I wouldn't say it's my favorite holiday. Christmas is probably my favorite, and not even because of the presents or anything. I just love the cozy time of year.
Yeah.
It's just the atmosphere. It's like a fun, cozy, comfy type kind of year. And Thanksgiving's fine. Everybody loves the food. I could take it or leave it. To me, sometimes it just feels like a lot of trouble for a couple hours.
It's a whole lot of work for, literally one meal, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless, some families do have a lot of like Thanksgiving traditions where they play games and they do, they do stuff like that. I don't have the energy for all that.
Growing up, I felt like there were much more traditions around it than there are now for us. And my mom and I have talked about how we need to bring some of those back because we would sit around and play games together for hours and things like that. But this was also when we lived far apart. And so we would have to travel to see each other for the holidays and we would stay at each other's houses. So we're all going to be there anyway, late until the night until we fall asleep. So we just sit around and play games. And now it's like, oh, well, you just hang out for a few hours and then you leave and go back home. And so there's really none of that anymore. And I feel like a lot of the magic, this is so sad, but I feel like a lot of the magic has kind of been lost around Thanksgiving for me personally. But I mean, all of these stories were definitely magical in their own way. So
in their own little way. Yeah. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on Thanksgiving. Sometimes I do like the big, huge family dinners. Like it's nice to get everyone together and to have that atmosphere and that vibe and whatnot. But other times, man, I just want to sit at home and eat some chicken fried rice or something that's low key, low maintenance, low whatever. It's the stress that gets to me with all the noise and the cooking and the cleaning and the chaos. Like I don't do well with that. Oh, and my mother. My mom made sure to traumatize me at an early age, though, when it came to cooking the turkey. She was cleaning it out at the sink, removing the giblets and the neck and doing all that crap. And when she reached in, she grabbed an organ, and as she pulled it out, she turned and screeched at me, Amber! And turned to me. And had whatever organ was in her hand, shaking, like it was moving. I was definitely younger than 10. I don't remember the exact age. And I was so traumatized and freaked out. I didn't want to go near the damn thing again. And she was laughing her ass off. Even to this day, I don't like sticking my hand in there and cleaning it out. I make Patrick do all that shit.
Maybe that's why you don't like turkey.
Maybe. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you for that traumatizing experience. What does it say about me that I don't mind doing that stuff? I'm so weird.
I think that's exactly what it says. Well, no, to be fair, if I didn't have this childhood trauma that I carry around with me, I think that I'd be fine with it too. Yeah, I don't think that it would be that big of a deal. It'd be just another task with doing it, but I will never forget. She came out and it's hey, I'm shaking Amber. I'm like, ah! Well, we hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Not at all like the stories we shared with you today.
Yes, please no. And before we say goodbye, did you figure out the riddle? Here it is one last time. A woman watched a man being murdered. She cries, but does nothing to save him. Why? The answer, she was watching a TV show. Let us know. Did you figure it out? That is not where my head was. I was like, my immediate thought was, oh, well, she killed him. She was just crying because maybe she was upset about it. No joke. That's my first thought. That's how morbid my brain is sometimes.
This riddle resonated with me because I just, binged all of Yellowstone in 1886 and 1923 and the fucking crying that I did at that show.
You're like, well, we're going to throw this one in here because this is my actual life right now.
This is the mindset that I'm in. So here you go.
Oh, lots of crying while watching death on TV. I want to remind y'all that we have a huge episode coming out next week with Julie Murray. She's going to talk about her sister Maura's disappearance and a lot of the misconceptions and other things that the family has gone through in the last 20 years. You don't want to miss that. And if you're enjoying the show and you have somebody in your life that might like it, please let them know. We would love for them to listen in and join us in our little corner of chaos. So until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices. Bye.
Later.
We aren't going to let that slow us down, though. And you'll continue to get your weekly dose of of something. It's not what I just said. It's something, though.
Eventually, we're all... God damn it.
She knows what's coming, so
I'm already laughing in anticipation. Okay. So then I asked someone to please pass.
Gina, it's sad. It's sad.
So then I asked someone to please pass the potatoes. The mom lets out a loud. God damn it! The mom lets out a loud sob and hollers in a weird warble, "Pickles!" Which is the dead kid. Which. Feeling that overwhelming pressure that is close to pure madness when you try to suppress hysterical laughter that you know you shouldn't let out. Kind of like I'm doing now. I happened to be sitting next to him, so all the eyes were in my direction when all of a sudden...
I could tell you hadn't read this one.
No. I let out the largest fart. Oh, I can't say it. I let out the largest... Well,
You did it again.
I let out the loudest fart I've ever heard.
She intended it.
Intended
She
it.
intended. I can't fucking talk.